My name's Luke Ritchie. I work at Reactional Music. I'm on the kind of customer developer facing side of things, getting people signed up to Reactional. My background is in music and tech. So I'm a musician, but also worked in tech for many years. Was actually at the Philharmonia Orchestra in my last role before joining Reactional Music. And I was doing more and more projects, kind of music-led projects in game engine, and realized just this was by far the most powerful kind of music tool that I'd found for interactive music. So I joined in 2022. And yeah, we're now rolling out Reactional. The platform opened up just this summer. We've got several games now in development that'll be coming out in the next 6 to 12 months. And we can send some follow-up info later. But yeah, we're welcoming any developers or anyone working in music, in games, or any interactive space to sign up and check it out. And we're going to give you a proper deep dive into it today. Probably just to add is that, we're focused on games, but we have actually found a lot of interest from people working in immersive and VR and XR, also to kind of live music, live shows, and even automotive and prototyping. So we're kind of unlocking a lot of areas, but essentially we're here to kind of open up music into the games world, and hopefully allow you to make games with great music and cutting edge interactivity much quicker. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Jonas and be quiet.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonas and I'm from Sweden. So I'm very humbled to be amongst you here today. I'm one of the founders of Reactional Music, and how it kind of started for me, this idea of building a procedural music system for games. So I am traditionally a composer, and then I started composing for games, but I always felt a lot was lacking in the workflow and the interactivity of how music is actually played back in games. So as you know, we have made huge leaps in game development in terms of how shaders work and physics systems and everything. And we can even simulate, how eyelashes will move in the ideal wind conditions or what have you. But still, music is still being played back with loops, with some stems that you can fade up and down. And we've been doing it the same way for like 20 years or so. So it's due for change, we think. And with that said, maybe I should just start the demo. Or did you want to add something, Luke, before on?
No, I think just jump. Do you want to jump straight into it, and then I can always talk more about the licensing model and all that afterwards.
Absolutely. So I'm not seeing a share button though. There it is. Let's see here. Share sound. I cannot share sound. Is that something you'd need to toggle on?
Not sure.
Pretty boring demo without sound. To be honest.
Let's have a look at settings. Leo,
there we go. I needed to set it to, I needed to set it to only one panelist can share.
Got it.
Okay, right. So I'm sharing now. Let's see here. Did I close this? Okay. So first off, we're going to open up Reaper here. So this is a digital audio workstation, and what is used to do sound design or compose music. And I'm going to play a little bit of a track here. Can you all hear that? So your run-of-the-mill kind of action music, if you will. And now I can't see you guys anymore. Just making sure. Luke, did you have sound?
Yeah, I did. I gave you a thumbs up, which wouldn't have helped much. But yeah. Yes, we heard that fine.
Fantastic, yeah. So normally now, traditionally, you would have these different sections of a track and export them as loops. And maybe you'd group a few of them into stems or have them as separate stems. And you would then do music interactivity by jumping between different sections of the music or fading up and down these stems. But that's not like super interactive, if I'm being honest. So the way we work with it is that we have our own software called Reactional Composer. And here we can drag and drop this whole project file. So we don't need to export anything at all. We just drag the whole project and it automatically renders everything and converts it into a procedural playback. And this is pretty cool on its own, because normally it would take hours to export everything and put it into a middleware like Fmod or Wise. And it's the most tedious work ever. So it takes around 30 or so seconds. And then we should have everything prepped and ready for playback. Now you see we have these, in an empty session, we have some pre-populated macros, we call them, but we can also create some more. So let's call this one, for instance, mood. Let's call it mood. We will put something in that later. So now we can play back here, and you're going to hear the same type of music playing back, but now I can actually, on a note by note basis, affect the music. And this can be done from within the game as well. So at any point, anything in the music can change. Just going to grab a different thing here. So that. Actually, let's put in, I'm just making sure we can have a smooth showcase here. So all of them continuous. Let's do that. Okay, so playing this back, this one has a plugin called Note Probability, and that means that I can affect how likely a note is being able to trigger. So this would allow me to only let through like strong beats, for instance. There's this energy one, it's gonna scale the tempo, but also scale the velocity, as in how hard, or whatever you wanna call it, the notes are being played, the loudness of the notes. And then we have this one called Autonomy. It has a plugin called Drag Random, which will do rhythmic offsets, and then we can switch sections. And this one in the bottom will change the whole scale of the piece. So let's play this back now. Hopefully you can still hear me talk.
Yeah, I can hear that.
So we can start with the energy, pull that down, get softer and also slower. Pushing that up, it makes it go faster and louder. So this one, density. So you see you can granularly make the music more or less dense. This one would do some rhythmic variations. No, actually, it was mapped wrong. I'm gonna fix it in a bit. This one is the most fun one. It's gonna modally transpose the piece. So now all of a sudden we have a totally different feel of the music. And what's even more, we can also, since these are being played back by in-game sampler instruments, we can actually override them and play them directly, both in this tool and within our game. So if we play this back again, I'm just going to fix this one actually first. And have a listen to that as well. You can hear the rhythmic variations going on here. But at any point now, I have actually taken control of this violin. And as I move up, I can play an upwards movement and the same going down. So that means that you can allow the gamers to actually perform on these instruments inside the game and always play along to the music in the correct key and even chord. Then of course you can do the more basic stuff like jumping between different sections of the music, and that is pretty basic. And then we have the concept of stingers, and stingers are these short phrases that you can use to denote something special in the music. And these will also adapt to whatever is going on in the music. So you only compose them in a singular chord, and then you can play them on top of any piece of music in your whole soundtrack, and they will always adapt. So you could have the big stingers work with any setting. Now, once we're satisfied with this here, then we can just export it directly into Unity or Unreal. And then we can play it back inside the engine and just interface with it with a super simple API. And for Unity, it looks like this. So this would be what you'd be using for 95% of the time, an API called set control, and then the name of whatever you named this macro knob, and then the value. And you can, of course, input a variable here for, say, distance to an enemy or something. So everything is designed to be as streamlined, as easy as possible to get integrated and working. So essentially, you could go from within the Composer software or from within your digital audio workstation, like Reaper or Ableton, you could go straight into the game in less than 10 minutes is the idea. But the fun doesn't stop there. We also have our web platform. So this is where developers can go and find pre-made interactive music, should they want to, but also where composers can upload their work and test it directly in the browser before going to game, but most importantly, test them together with other types of music. So we are not only trying to solve this issue of making music more interactive in games, we also have a massive music licensing catalog where you can actually license commercial music. A one-stop shop, sort of. Everything is handled in terms of reporting and all the legalities. All you need to do is pick a track, pay the fee for that track, and you can have that in your game with a worldwide and in perpetuity license to use in said game. And what's special about this licensing platform is not only that we're solving that, but also that all of this music is being analyzed musically for tempo and bars and beats and chords. And with that information, our interactive system can always adapt to this music, which means that you could have your procedural music playback with this string orchestra, and it can play together with a commercial music track, and they will always be in sync, and the interactive system will always follow the chords of this song. So as a demo here, we can play them back separate. So here is this pop track. Starts with a bit of guitar.
You make me feel like a reckless child. Just because of you, I get so down.
And on this other side, we have what you heard before. And even in the browser, we can affect these parameters. But now when we combine them, lower the volume a bit so you can hear me speak as well. We play this back, and now they will play together in harmony.
You make me feel like a reckless child. Just because of you, I get so damn high. I don't even know.
So if we remove this track, we can still hear the interactive music, but playing those chords. And while this is super cool on its own, the most obvious use case for this is, of course, to make music games where you not only have, you know, rhythm-based interactions or have it be beat-based, but actually you can do tonal stuff with it as well. And I have this small prototype I'd like to show over video. Hopefully that works without lagging. But this is sort of like a Tetris effect clone that I made, where whenever you move a piece, a small piano note will play, and when you drop a block, you'll get a stinger, and if you clear lines, you will get another stinger instead. And since the system always adapts, you can hear that we're changing tracks on the fly, but it always works. So the setup is done on a sort of musical level rather than per track level. So we always know when the next beat is in a song, or when the next bar is going to happen, or when the chord change is. This means that you can then scale this into 1 million tracks, which is kind of the number that we have available on a platform. And you can also then make available to gamers our B2C model, where you can actually sell music at no upfront cost to US developers directly to the gamers as in-app purchases. Luke will tell you more about that in a bit. And actually, I think that's kind of it for the demo from me. I'd also like to add that, like, taking a standard, you know, Tetris gameplay and making it into music Tetris. With our system, the implementation took me less than an hour. So it's very flexible, it's very quick to work with, and allows anyone to make these kinds of experiences without having to do all the R&D that's necessary normally to build a system like this. So thank you for that, and I'll hand over to Luke that can tell you more about our business.
Great. Thanks, Jonas. Yeah, so I've answered a couple of questions that came in as we were going on the Q&A, and you know, we'll definitely have time for questions afterwards. But yeah, we wanted to start with the heart of the tech is how powerful it is musically, and it was designed by composers, and you know, just meant to be made to be much more powerful. Finally, kind of get away from loops and have music that can adapt in real time. But we also think there could be potential, not for every game, but actually to open up in-game personalization of music. You know, we're seeing in market research growing convergence of music and games. Obviously, we're seeing all the success of UEFN, Snoop opening the latest chapter of Fortnite with huge reach. And essentially, this means that any game developers who build their games with Reactional, we're finding a lot of interest from people who want to build games that can scale, roll out new campaigns with new musical rollouts, and also have the power of the composability of it. And we're seeing, you know, more and more people, you know, spending time in games. That's where audiences are, and that's where they're listening to music. So it could be a great vehicle for discovery. So whether you're a composer or audio director who wants to use the cutting edge side of things that Jonas was showing, and we can go into more detail, definitely in the Q&A. But to talk about the commercial side, as Jonas said, we have 2 licensing models. So you can go onto our platform. It's free to sign up. I've put a link on here, and actually I'll ask Leo and the team at Yuki, we can maybe share some follow-up links via email for anyone who wants to find out some more info. But you can go on the platform. It's free to sign up. There's a 30-day free trial. And there you can download the Unity and Unreal plugins. There's tons of documentation. If you want to make your own interactive music, then there's the Composer tool that you can download. But actually, on the music licensing side, we're opening up more and more music. And there's 2 routes for developers or anyone who wants to license music through us. There's the more traditional, what we call the B2B. So if you want to license the music to ship in your game, in every copy of your game, we're trying to open up all of the record labels to the game development community, and eventually to gaming audiences as well. And you can go on our platform, preview music in every genre. We started with production music. But now we're signing more and more record labels. So most recently, in the last couple of months, we signed most recently Naxos, the biggest classical music label. Before that, the Beggars Group, which is the world's biggest independent record label, that has got a lot of the most fantastic independent record labels under its group. They've released records by, Radiohead, Adele, all those kind of artists, and we're gradually unlocking that catalog. But the way that we'd license it is either if you want to license the music to ship it in every copy of your game, then you need to sign up, upload your game project details, your budget, where you're based, a few simple questions, and then you'll see like the clear pricing of how much it would be to license that music, to buy in a traditional sync deal, buy it and ship it in every copy of your game. And we're just trying to simplify that process because I think a lot of people know how painful it can be just licensing music, having to ring up the label, come up with a bespoke figure. It can often take weeks or months. Here, we're just simplifying it. The labels set their different pricing tiers. There's some fantastic production music. There's some really fantastic music from, some amazing independent artists of every genre. Or you can upload your own music. And if you upload your own music, it's going to go through that. We're going to run it through that AI audio analysis, but only we don't keep any of that data. It's just literally to help the engine understand your music so that when it plays it back, it will be in time and in tune. It will know what key it's in, what tempo it's in. And if you add layers of interactive music, the themes that we showed you, they will always be in time and in tune as well. But if you want to license the music for us, you pay a fee and away you go. And that's there for in your game in perpetuity. But the newer licensing model, which we think is much more unusual, is that actually because you can build games and anything in a game engine that could scale to thousands of tracks, let's take that puzzle game as an example, then maybe you launch it with 5 tracks, but then you open up DLC purchases. So you open up in-game purchases of music, like Beat Saber or Guitar Hero or anything like that. On a technical front, you can build games that scale much, much more quickly. So we think it's just going to save you a ton of time. It's also much more powerful musically with its procedural music. But then if you open up music to license, the music that we're opening up on our catalog is available. You can make that available to be bought as an in-game purchase with no upfront sync fee. So let's just say you've got a puzzle game, you want to launch a rock song pack. Let's just, let's say like $1.99 a track or a song pack for $9.99 or something like that. A gamer can download those tracks just to their copy of the game. And so that removes the risk of the upfront sync fee. And it means that then it's just a rev share, and that's split basically between the game developer, the record label, the master rights holder, the music publisher, and then Reactional takes the cut as well. And we take care of all the reporting and the licensing. So we hope that it just makes things a lot easier. And it's not going to be right for every game. Also, games want to have their own musical identity, but there are a ton of games where music is at the end of the pipeline. It doesn't get thought about. And I think, we see a huge market for in-game personalization. And at the moment, there's almost nothing for music except for those fantastic exceptions like Beat Saber. So we think we're opening up that model, that licensing model for a lot of people. So you can sign up, you can already browse a ton of music, but honestly, we're actually ingesting so much new music that also we encourage anyone that if you've got a game, you've got a concept or a creative idea or a specific artist or genre you want to work on, just get in touch because we're unlocking new music all the time. So I think that's probably like the basics of the licensing. I think there's some technical questions coming from David, which I think we'll jump to in a second. I thought I'd just show you a few more examples of themes and tracks just so you can hear to your ear kind of what else is possible. Also, a lot of these tracks are available on the platform, so you can actually just jump on there and have a look at them yourselves. So this is one, for example, fantastic indie game that we're working on, and they were looking for like a real synthwave kind of theme to their music. So we just reached out to one of the composers. We've got a growing network of composers who are working with Composer, and we want this to become a marketplace. So, this will become a marketplace where composers who've already composed work, if they use our Composer tool to convert it to a theme, they could upload them and actually sell them on our platform. So if you are a composer, if you're making music, please get in touch. We've got a growing network of people on that front. And so you can preview this theme. And I just wanted to play it because you get a few other examples creatively of what's possible musically. So this is a synthwave theme that we made for a game, so very much in the kind of Stranger Things kind of feel. And I'm going to play this back in real time. Hopefully you can hear me talking over it. But I'll just show you how these macros are being created. We've just called them density and energy. It's entirely in the hands of the composer or the audio creative team, what you want to call these. But these are all parameters that you could change in real time in the game. So if I start to play it, density is literally like complexity of the beat. So you could maybe have a game that just starts with a kick drum, really minimal, and also quite low energy. So energy is kind of the velocity, but also if you hear me turn it up, if I start to build up the density, start to see the shaker and the kick and the drum get more complex. And as you turn up the energy, the velocity increases, but also you see the synth envelope get a bit fatter as well. Or we have stingers, right? So these trigger in time and in tune to the beat. So again, these are composer, or you can download some of our stinger packs. If I trigger one, they're always going to quantize to the next beat or quarter note or eighth note. When you're ready, you go to the next part of the track, let's say the melody section. You've still got this flexibility, so it could be really low energy and like really minimal. So maybe a game starts, building up intensity, and as you progress, it gets more intense.
Could you lower volume a bit on the slider?
Yeah, thanks. You've also got register, so literally, jumping up octaves up or down. Or you've got your mood as well. So I love that one, changing modality as well. So that's just an example of a thing that's in a completely different style. And then again, if you add a track, I'm going to add the same pop track initially, it will adapt. But a lot of the time, you heard it's changed. The theme will always adapt to the commercial track. But obviously, like you may not necessarily choose a track in that style. So you might have, for example, a game with synthwave tracks where you have a theme where all the interactive musical interactions, the stingers are going to happen, or maybe the core music or the menu. But then actually the user could reskin it with a bunch of synthwave tracks. So if I load a track that's more sympathetic to the theme, then if you listen to the background theme, and often you might just have it, we're actually just going to have the theme silent except for stingers. So you just want the theme for the interactive bits. So you get the idea. So I just kind of wanted to show that as another example. And I think probably I think we can stop there because I'm sure there's questions. There's already a few coming through. So let's leave room for questions. I saw a technical one coming in from David. Jonas, do you want to jump in and answer that one? Unless Leo, you've got anything to add. I thought we're just going to jump straight to the Q&A.
Yeah, I think I reckon just jump straight to the Q&A. It might be helpful for everyone if you read out an element of the question as you answer
Yeah,
it.
sure. There's one from David Gurney. Which DAW projects are compatible with Reactional Composer? What prep is required? Well, let's do that first one. Which DAW projects are compatible with Reactional?
Yes, so I answered that in the text box, but we might as well do it live as well. So currently it's Reaper. In the next coming weeks, we're going to add support for Ableton, Bitwig, Studio One, and now Cubase, it looks like. Logic, someone asked about, and I'm a Logic user myself, so I've done some proof of concepts for that, but it's a bit trickier. So that's further in the future, I think. But our dream is to support any DAW, really.
Yeah, cool, great. And what prep is required before dropping into Reactional Composer?
So you need to work with VST3s, and that means it is MIDI only, like that. It's another question here. However, the only prep really needed is following a naming convention so that our tool knows what to look for, essentially. And something that we composers are very bad at, trying to be tidy. So if you have a lot of extra stuff that shouldn't be there, ideally you should remove them before dropping them in. But yeah, it's mainly a naming scheme that you need to follow.
Yeah. And David, I think you asked about, deals with specific labels. Yeah, we do. So as I mentioned, a couple of the biggest, most recent ones are Beggars Group and Naxos. We've also signed a few other kind of great indie labels like Hopeless Records, Cherry Red, and Beatport. A lot of those ones with better known artists may be opening up what I call the B2C model. So they might not always be licensing all their music. If you want to ship in every copy of your game, they might be more open to the B2C where you're making their music available and then it's just a rev share, as I explained. But again, we can send some more info about that. I think we can send a follow-up email. I'd love to get everyone's details because we can send you some more info. There was a good question about like atmospheric music, like how does it work with atmospheric tracks? It would be good maybe just Jonas, you to touch on for that.
Yeah, so there are two paths there. Either you use the sound playback system that we do for the commercial music, so you can actually upload your own tracks to your own projects, and they will be analyzed the same way. And then the interactive music system can play stuff on top of that. So maybe you have stingers or something that you want to play on top of your ambient tracks. Otherwise, for the interactive system itself, of course, it works with ambient and drone as well, but with the caveat that you might end up with larger assets than you'd want because you need such length of the notes to be able to play it back later on. We do have it's not something that we have on the roadmap, but we have internally proof of concepts for doing pure synthesis with the system as well. So that's something that I hope to add in the coming year or something, at least, that we can offer that as well. So then there's like 0 RAM overhead, but you have synths actually playing everything back.
Great. And I was gonna say as well, like well, there's a couple more questions that maybe people have seen, but I'll just quickly say there was a request just to get the sign up link for it. But absolutely, if you just go to reactionmusic.com, but again, I'd love to follow up and send some info. But you can go on there, and I'll also put my my email address. So if anyone wants to drop me an email, they're very welcome to. And if they've got questions for Jonas as well, I'm sure we can send it. I mean, I was going to say as well, like musically, I mean, for our demos, we very deliberately obviously use quite big soundtracks, quite dense, musically dense soundtracks, because we're obviously trying to be demonstrative to show what's possible. But obviously, in a lot of situations in a game, you to that point of atmospheric music, you don't want to lay it on really thick in every game. So I was just going to show a couple more examples. One in particular is the first time I came across Reactional. I was working at the Philharmonia Orchestra, but we did a project with the Royal Shakespeare Company and Epic Games and a bunch of other technology partners, and actually a fantastic VR company called Marshmallow Laser Feast. And we were doing a performance of Midsummer Night's Dream live in Unreal, and we had to bring the music. So we had these big moments of score. But what I loved Reactional for was actually that it added this kind of interactive layer, like almost like a breadcrumb trail, because in this scene, you're going to see Puck, who's built of stones, and this is all being filmed with virtual cameras rendered live in Unreal. And you've got all of the live kind of sound effects and Foley, and all we just needed was like a meandering kind of harp line. So that is a theme, and that is playing a composed line, but it's also being driven, as Jonas showed with the violin override. That instrument's been overridden by the movement of Puck's hand. So, for a lot of VR users, I noticed this one. Josh, you've got VR at Manchester Met. Anyone working in VR, that's how I first started coming at it from immersive. So I'll just do a quick clip of that. It's very subtle, but it just sounds like a meandering harp. And Puck's being very deliberate. The actor is being deliberately demonstrative because it was a live show and we kind of wanted to point to the fact it was being driven live in real time. But every performance was slightly different. So I think it has a lot of power for very simple atmospheric music, breadcrumb trails, or like musical motifs that then lead to big moments of score or bigger moments of dramatic music. And again, it's actually what's happening in this scene. It would have been playing along to a big bit of Ravel. And you wouldn't know that until the score comes in and you realize that the harp has been like improvising over that the whole time. So it's quite subtle. It can be very subtle. We're just obviously showing the big shiny examples. So this is just a quick clip just to show you what I mean. So you get the idea. I just kept it brief, but that idea of very simple, used very subtly, it also adds a lot there.
That is beautiful,
Yeah,
Luke.
thank you.
I wonder who made the mappings, the movement to the.
Some hunky Swedish guy. I can't remember who it was. What other questions have? Yeah, we're definitely going to send some links so you can sign up, use it, to get trying it out for yourselves. I'm trying to think as well what would be good to mention. I mean, I think what we have found is we've already got about over 500 people signed up on the platform. We've also now gone live as a verified solution partner on the Unity Asset Store, and then we'll be launching on the Unreal Store as well shortly. But we are finding a lot of people find it just much quicker from prototypes. So we're working with quite a few developers who are at the much earlier phase where they wouldn't normally bring music in. So either they haven't got their music team yet, or you can very quickly build something with that deep interactivity from prototype. So we're doing a lot of vertical slice demos at the moment. So that could be interesting for a lot of people. As I said, it's also opening up a lot of doors where we didn't expect it to. So, VR, I think a lot of people are excited about it because it's so powerful. But also in VR, it's kind of a scalable model. So if anyone wants to build something that's scalable, that actually, you can start to generate revenue from music personalization, that can also be really effective. And we're also seeing a lot of interest in automotive and other areas where you want to have interactive music in your experience, and more cars are being built, with game engines at the center of them and of the whole HMI system. So yeah, it's really there to be played with, and it's very flexible. I think that's probably. Have we got any more questions while I've been chatting away? Has anyone else got any more questions?
I have one more thing before wrapping up. That is, we also, because we do our music analysis of all these tracks, we also have like automatic beat mapping kind of capabilities. So you can get data for the vocal onsets and pitch, and what the bass line is doing and the drums, etc. So you can easily make like a Guitar Hero kind of game with that data. And everything our system generates also you can use as callbacks inside the game engine. So you get events from all the notes being generated, or whenever a chord change happens, you get events for that.